Hey there, Chris Wheatley here from Hot Tub University. Welcome to I don't even know what number this is, but we're once again doing a live stream. And today our topic of conversation is going to center on mass merchant hot tubs. So Home Depot, Costco, all those miracle hot tubs, those miracle prices that everybody goes, well, this is a great deal. So today we're going to look a little bit about, what is the difference between what you're getting from a mass merchant like Home Depot or Costco and frankly, a lot of these mystery brands that are popping up on the market, because we get all kinds of these brands that are coming up right now, and most of them are guys playing at being manufacturers. So they'll say they're a manufacturer, but they're really doing is they'll go to a factory in China or somewhere else where they can get cheap tubs, and they'll private brand that. And what that involves in the Canada and the US market is really just going and getting your CE certification for the name you're going to use. So you take those tubs, you send them in, get them certified, boom, now you can be a manufacturer, but you don't actually have a factory or anything else. All you really are is a middleman. So you're taking these hot tubs, you're bumping the prices up, you're selling them to Home Depot and Costco or anywhere, and then they're selling them to the public. Now you got to understand there's a couple of real big problems here. One of them is that the market is insane right now. So a lot of these tubs that we didn't see in the coming from the Asian market in China, et cetera, weren't coming into the North American market. And the reason they weren't coming into the North American market is it wasn't worth bringing them in. By the time you took into account your cost of shipping and all that other stuff, you were getting into a situation where it just really wasn't, it didn't pay to bring those tubs in. Now, with prices the way they are and demand as high as it is, these tubs now make financial sense. So we've got a lot of people doing this. And it's not hard to do. You don't have to have a ton of cash. You buy a couple of containers of hot tubs and, private brand them, pay your CE fees or your ULC fees. And the next thing you know, you're a manufacturer with hot tubs. So let's take a look at what really makes the difference between an entry-level cheap tub, stuff you're seeing at Home Depot, Costco, and stuff you're seeing at the really high end of the market, stuff like the Masters or Jacuzzis or Artesians. Those brands that are really putting the time and the money into making you a great hot tub that's going to be sustainable. So first things, then we're going to go to some questions. So if you're hanging around, you got some questions, we'll do some question and answer period afterwards. We'll try and whatever you want to talk about, really. So if you want to start queuing your questions up on the other side there, you can do that now. And what we're going to do is just start with a quick little chat here about the mass merchant hot tub. So we walk in and we look at the pricing. Now, all hot tubs look great, and it's really tricky because, man, you walk into a Home Depot or a Costco and you see a hot tub on its side there, and you go, "Oh, hot tub, man!" And the price is like $2,000 less than you're buying it in the retail market, or sometimes even more. Although really the mass merchant pricing isn't that good on hot tubs. So how is it that these guys can do it? Because what you'll be led to believe is that their volume of sales. Oh, we're such a big seller of hot tubs that we get really good pricing on them. Bullshit. So I know individual dealers, single dealers that sell more hot tubs across the U.S. than Costco sells across the U.S. in a year. All of their stores together. So they're not great when it comes to volume of purchase. They're not getting those big price breaks on that kind of stuff. So how is it? How is it that they're managing to get these tubs at this price? Which, by the way, loads of them are through resellers. They're not even really brands. They're just guys that are buying them from China, rebranding them under a new name, and selling them to Home Depot or Costco. Well, there's a number of ways that guys cut corners and on to cut the price on a hot tub. And the number one way is the shell. And it's also the most important thing in your hot tub because, man, if your shell fails, it's garbage. Literally, it's landfill, because lots of times the shells, especially from the cheaper brands, aren't thick enough even to do an adequate repair on. So, we get guys going out to customers' houses and there's a crack in a shell and it's only a year old or 2 years old. And the repair guy goes, we can't really even repair this. There's not enough structure. And there's a pretty easy way to look at this. When we look at, we've got a rater that we use, a hot tub evaluator that we use, and it's a data machine. So in other words, it doesn't matter what you think or what you like. It takes hard data, what the shell weighs, what kind of materials are in that shell, how they're fabricating, how they're attaching things to the shell, how that interface between the shell and the jets and stuff works. And one of the big things we see right away when we pull out a hot, Home Depot tub or a Costco tub is the overall weight of the shell. Now, when we evaluate a shell, what we do is we figure out the surface area of the shell based on the amount of molding and the size of the shell. So we can get a pretty good estimate of the surface area. We then subtract all the goofy things, wood skirts or steel frames or wood frames. and the skirting material, and we take all the weight of all these things, even so much as the jets. We know the weight of the housing and the jet and the piping and the manifolds and all the millions of little pieces that go into your hot tub. And what our evaluator does is strips all that out and gives us a base rating number that tells us really how well the how heavy the shell is, and that directly relates to how thick the shell is. Because again, we take into account if it's a very simple design, we know that there's not as much surface area as there's going to be in something that's got lots of complex molding and lots of bucket seats and all this kind of stuff. Man, when I evaluate a top end tub, I look at what's called an 8-foot hot tub, so something in that 91 to 94 inch range, 36, 38 inches deep. I can hit 1,400 pounds for a shell for that assembled tub with all its stuff on it. And by the time I subtract everything out and do a rating on it, man, I'm going to get like an 8.9 on the high end stuff, or an 8. Anything over about 7.8, 7.6, we consider to be a really good sustainable shell. There's not a mass merchant tub that we have ran through our calculator that has come above 5. Now that's massive. We look at a Home Depot tub we were just looking at the other day and running an evaluator on. That tub was coming in at 800 pounds compared to 1,400 pounds. Same number of pumps, same number of jets. Although the weight stuff that we separate off when we figure out the shell, was fairly close. We're talking about 400 pounds worth of resin. Fiberglass resin. Now that might not seem like much, but man, you go shop a good quality vinyl ester resin, for instance, which is what they're going to use in a really good hot tub, at least for the primary barriers. Man, this stuff's like $2 a kilo. Or a pound. Let's go to pounds. It'd be even easier. It's about $2.25 a pound was the price I think I looked at. So say about $2 a pound. Well, man, if we got 400 pounds of resin missing on your hot tub, wow, guess where that $1,000 came from? Was that a good deal because the mass merchant got good buying price on the hot tub because of their marvelous buying power? Absolutely not. They just simply didn't put that in. And that doesn't even take into account the labor, time, and effort to have to spray that resin, apply it to a hot tub, and properly roll it into place and build up that shell so it's going to be sustainable. That is your number one thing. That is the number one way that mass merchants cut corners on hot tubs. And that's a big part of why that price is. So when you look at a mass merchant tub, add $1,000 on, because that's what you're paying for a tub that's got a better shell. The next thing they do is they tend to make a shell a little bit shallower, especially the stuff coming from China, and that's simply shipping. So if I'm shipping 12 hot tubs and I can make the tub a little bit shallower and squeeze 1 or 2 extra tubs onto that container, I'm going to cut my cost down pretty considerably. So one of the things I noticed is sitting in a hot tub, at a mass merchant, I'm lucky if I'm above my nipples in water. And man, that might be okay if you're in sunny California. Let me tell you something, if you're up in Chicago or Toronto, it ain't going to be very good in the wintertime. You're scrunching down now and you're trying to slide into the water so you can get up to your neck in water. It's a big deal. And again, it's a big cost. So they don't even do it for the shipping, but they also do it for the cost of the acrylic sheet. If we buy a smaller, thinner sheet, we don't have to vacuum form it as deeply. So if we're not vacuum forming so deep, we can buy a smaller sheet of acrylic, and that's going to affect your cost as well. The next thing we do is, because of this thinner shell, we end up with these prop supports. And one of the things we see a lot is high density foam supporting. So we'll get guys that'll have these thin shells that when we run through our calculator coming in at 4s and 4.5s. And, in their pitch, they're going, oh yeah, we use a high density foam insulation. Well, you got to understand something. If we're encapsulating the foam and the jet faces and the plumbing in a high density foam, you're screwed if you ever get a leak, because the expensive foams are those softer open cell foams. They cost a lot more money. You fill the entire cavity, you're spending another, you're getting another $300 to $500 worth of insulation, and that's going to come right out of your pocket, by the way, and power over the, over the period of time that you're going to be using that tub. So they'll use high density foam to reinforce these shells, and now they'll sell the high density foam as a high-end R value foam. But really, what it is the structure for the cheap shell, and it's a bit of a gimmick with high density foams. High-density foams use a encapsulating agent that they blow into the foam. It's a gas that artificially increases the R value of the foam. So instead of just having air in those little pockets, they've got a gas in there which has a higher R value. So they can rate that foam quite high, but it goes through a process called thermal drift, which means over time, those little pockets of that gas are replaced with air because it leaks. It never stays in there forever. So we see, if we look at the R value of high-density foams versus open-cell foams, what they call low-density foams, those high-density foams start out with a higher R value. But after a while, we go through this thermal drift where they start to lose this encapsulating gas, and they end up with just air in those pockets, and they can roll off considerably. You can lose quite amount of R value on a high density foam over time, where a good, expensive open cell foam is not going to go through that process. So it's going to maintain, in some cases, up to 98% of its original R value over time. The next way they're going to cut corner is parts. And just because they have a Balboa heating and control system, which is a great heating and control system, I love it. It's my number one. Or even a Gecko system, which is, not a bad second. A lot of the other parts you're going to get on that hot tub are going to be substandard. So you'll get guys that are using, cheap jetting. So for instance, back in the day, we used to use jets that clicked into place, and they had these little tabs on the side of them, and they would click in, and that would be it. And a couple years later, they'd all click out and they'd fall out into the tub, and you'd spend $1,000 or more replacing all those jets. It's crappy tech. So these guys, what they do is they can buy these molds for nothing now, because the good jets, any decent jet, is now either threaded in or uses a blade system that kind of fits into a groove. So you can buy the molds for these old jets super cheap. So a lot of this regurgitated tech that the mainstream, the high-end manufacturers have abandoned because it's just unsustainable. It's just not good quality gear. You're going to see this stuff on the lower end tubs. Then you're going to get to things like clamps on the plumbing. Lots of guys, especially in these price point tubs, aren't clamping the plumbing. And of course, the insulation itself, we're not going to be filling that cavity with a really expensive, good quality foam. We're going to be using a little chop of high density foam on the back of the shell, sell that as insulation, when really what it is the structure on your shell that was cheaper than having to actually build a good shell. And cumulatively, these are the things. And I'm telling you right now, you sit down and you crunch the numbers. They're not good deals on good hot tubs. I have never seen a good deal on a good hot tub at any mass merchant anywhere in North America, and you never will, because the reality is these guys don't have the volume to handle it. They don't know what they're doing. And then you get to the next point. One of the other ways they'll get you, the number of jets, because everybody likes numbers. Man, I see a lot of numbers. Oh man, I got 100 jets. That must be an awesome hot tub. But man, if they're using 100 of those dinky little jets, those low flow jets that just feel like someone's digging a pencil into you, those aren't doing anything for massage therapy. They don't feel very nice. They just kind of go, wow, it's literally like being stabbed with a pencil. And they're $10. You get those cheap little shitty jets are $10. So man, I'm gonna have 100 jets in a hot tub. It's a $1,000 jet package, and I don't have to put big pumps in. I don't have to put big plumbing in, because it's such a small volume of water that crushing through those little jets, high pressure, low flow. Man, you look at a good tub, you start getting into a high-end therapy massage jet, so something in a 5-inch, man, those jets can be $50, $60, $70 a jet. So, you look at a 100 jet tub from a mass merchant on paper. Oh man, awesome. 100 jets, twin pumps. That was way better than the tub I was looking at that was 40 jets and twin pumps. It was $3,000 more. Well, God, they'll have a $2,700 jet package on a high-end therapy tub. So, you got $1,700 in extra jets. You got $1,000 in extra fiberglass. You got $500 or $1,000 in extra parts. That's $4,000. They stole out of your tub. And to me, this piece of junk that they're now selling you and saying is a good high-end tub. Don't be fooled by this stuff. In this day and age, how many times has it got to happen to you when you buy crap from Walmart or one of these junk stores and it falls apart on you and you go, oh, well, it fell apart. So much stuff falls apart now that, we don't even look at it anymore. We go, I fell apart. Hey, I expect it to fall apart, and we go buy another one. Now, it's okay if you're dealing with a strainer from Home Depot that falls apart. But if you're dealing in a product that you spent $7,000 or $8,000, get your head out of your butt. This is not a good deal on a good hot tub. The only time I've even seen a decent quality hot tub in a mass merchant, and this really, really bears out what we're saying. One company, Costco Canada, sells a good hot tub. They sell a beachcomber hot tub, and beachcombers are good, heavy grade shells. They are glued in clamped plumbing. They're a good electronic control system with a decent jet system. It's not as good as some of the highest end tech out there. But man, look at the price. They're selling a single pump 20 jet tub for $1,000 more than you can buy it anywhere. You go to any retailer can match the better quality or as good a quality as that tub for $1,000 less, or at least the same price. So, this bears out everything we're saying. As soon as a mass merchant starts touching a decent quality price, a quality tub, what happens? The price is crap. Why? Because they just don't have what it takes to do hot tubs. It's too complex of a product. You do not want to be buying a hot tub from a mass merchant. Simple as that. And guys, this is right across the board. If you don't think so, you start throwing up on my site. You throw me tubs that you think are on that site, and I'll run through my evaluator and show you the numbers. I guarantee you, none of those tubs are going to rate very high. So Mass merchant tubs in general, it's smoke and mirrors. You're not getting a good deal on a good hot tub. You can buy that same quality hot tub online from online sellers, and don't fool yourself. It's the same quality. And you can get them as good a price or better than you can from any mass merchant. It's just not the best place to buy these complex products. And by the way, I love Costco. I love you, Costco. I know you think I hate you because every time I talk about you and hot tubs, but man, you guys shit the bed on hot tubs. You have no idea what you're doing. In fact, you know what you should do? You should get in touch with me and I'll build you a line of hot tubs. Then you'll have something you can sell that's worthwhile. But until that day, stay away from mass merchant hot tubs. Stay away from that cheap stuff that's coming in the market. You are going to rue the day you save $2,000 on your hot tub because you never saved $2,000 on your hot tub. You just bought a cheap hot tub. So that's all I got to say about that. Let's go to the phones and see what people got to say. Hey, that's an old saying, go to the phones. Who's got a phone anymore? Let's go over here and look at what you're saying on the side panel. So what level of tubs are Dreammaker and Bahama? Now, Dreammaker is a good rotationally molded hot tub. Now, remember, when we're talking about hot tubs, there's two kinds of shells. There are rotationally molded shells, and those are tubs that they literally pour pellets into a mold, and they rotate the mold in a heated environment, and then they pop the mold out, and boom, there's your hot tub. That is Dreammaker. The other one you're talking about, Bahama Spas, is a private label for Dynasty hot tubs. Now, Dynasty hot tubs, in my opinion, and I haven't seen one recently, but when it last one we saw, in the amount of complaints I get from customers, mass merchant quality right across the board. It is a thin cradle supported shell. We've got loads of complaints and loads. In fact, there's not a single brand I've had more complaints about than Dynasty Spas. Leaks, breakage, things falling apart, just in general, bad backup and support, and just it's mass merchant quality. Simple as that. Now, I have heard that the father that owned the company that ran it into the ground has had it taken over by his son. And I have heard that he's trying to make some changes here, and he's trying to bring that brand up. And hopefully when COVID's over, we'll get our hands on one of those new ones, and we'll do a reevaluation on it. At this point in time, it's not a product I can stand behind. Dreammaker, on the other hand, yes, Rotomold. So here's your top Rotomolds, in my opinion, right now. Getaway hot tubs, probably the thickest shell we've seen on any Rotomold. And again, when we run the calculator on it, it tells us there's more plastic in that shell. Because plastic is petrol. Petrol's expensive. If they're putting more, and by the way, fiberglass acrylic, that's all petrol-based stuff too. So if they're putting more plastic in there and they're making a thicker shell, that's the thickest one we've ever seen. But the Nordic hot tub and the Dreammaker rate really high up there as well. They're great little tubs. I would definitely buy a Dreammaker way before I buy a Bahama. All right, Chris. Hi, Chris. Hi, Chris. All right, I don't know what the answer to that question is, but yeah, it's good to see you, and thanks for coming in. Shannon, how reputable is Coast Manufacturing? You know what? We've had, we were supposed to go to Coast and do a factory evaluation, and then COVID happened, and we kind of got locked down, and then they had COVID in their factory, and right now they're out for like a year and something to even build you a hot tub. We've always had, we like Coast, and they're still in our top 5, and we've had some quality control issues. Those seem to have been they seem to have actually been getting a handle on that and really cleaning up their production. But we still had, a couple tubs here and there that we're getting customers coming back to us saying, man, right out of the box, all kinds of trouble. And COVID cramming stuff through that production line, especially with your crazy option packages. Coast, man, in this day and age, you guys are nuts having all those options in your hot tubs. Clean up your production line, man. Simplify it. Build a couple of great tubs with way fewer options. Your production problems will go away because you'll be building clean stuff through that production line. But yeah, Coast is good. I like them, Sean. I'm going to get down there and see and review that factory. All in all, it's probably number 5 or 6 on our list right now. So yeah, it's definitely not a bad buy. Certainly not one of your nightmare brands. Andy, the UK, is it really necessary to pre-dissolve chemicals before you add them to the tubs? Okay, throw them in so you get some big blender of hot water. I've never pre-mixed chemicals. I've actually never even seen too many places where it requires you to. The only exception to that is trichlor tablets. So if you're dealing with hot tub tablets, they are trichlor instead of dichlor. Dichlor is the powder that you put in, or the little granules. Dichlor is not so bad. It's not nearly as aggressive, but trichlor is extremely aggressive and can really damage your hot tub. So if you let those little tablets sit on anything in your hot tub, yeah, it can destroy your shell. It can really beat the hell out of your hot tub. And even if you use them in a floating dispenser, which by the way I do, because I'm the kind of guy that's just going to forget to put the granules in, so I use trichlor tablets, you're going to find that it's going to turn all of your black stuff gray, and it's going to reduce the life of some things like your soft bits, like your cover and your headrests and stuff like that. Generally, things like pH and alkalinity increaser, and again, really, those are the main things you're doing. You're bringing that alkalinity up, you're bouncing that pH back down. Shocks, things like that. I've never had to dissolve them ahead of time. I would read your label. There may be certain products out there that require it, but in general, it's not been something I've come across too much. Chris Carl, thank you. He's the guy that said hi earlier. A great name too. So, there you go. A lot of us around though, man. Oh, every time somebody else, Chris, 6 guys go, what? Anyways, Vancouver, Washington. Oh man, we do a pile of private buyers in Washington, dude. Black Pine does Artesian out there. With Jacuzzi deal with, we work with a lot out there. We got a master wholesaler we deal with a lot out there. I probably buy, God, I'm guessing, but I bet you I buy a couple hundred tubs easily a year out there. So you should look at our private buyer service. We will save you money in that market for sure. We got great relationships with these guys. We buy a lot of tubs from them. They're pretty happy with us. So you're looking at Artesian. Oh yeah, okay, the Elite. It did not fit the foot box of the Quail Ridge, but the Dove Canyon was fine. Really want to copy 2 to 3, but feel we need to go big for my height. Yeah, the height's a tricky one, man. What you lose in those smaller tubs is footwell and the ability to stretch out a little bit. Now, tall people sometimes have long legs and sometimes they have long bodies. That's a big factor. When you go to those 3-4 person tubs, the body seat area is generally not too far off. And again, it can vary from tub to tub. So take a look. And again, mass merchant tubs, you always got those short little seats, you'll be screwed. Footwell size gets reduced. So the combination of that can be messy if you're really tall. And yeah, I agree, you don't tend to save a lot of money going to a 4 or 5 person tub over the price of going to your 7-foot tubs, because those 84-inch tubs are stock standard. That's what everybody's building. So those are very clean production lines. If a guy's knocking out a lot of tubs and he's building that production is very clean. These guys are used to doing what that tub. They know what's got to go into it. They tend to build a better consistency on products like that. When you start getting into the smaller tubs, which no manufacturer sells that many of, man, they got to stop the production and and drop that mold in. So they usually charge a fair premium on those tubs because they really don't, they really would rather not sell them if they could avoid it. And then you tend to lose a fair bit. So you lose that depth, you lose that comfort, and you don't tend to save a pile of cash. So yeah, my advice is if you can fit it, if the footprint's going to accommodate a 7-footer, look at a 7-footer. And again, Andy, I'm not kidding you, man. Get on my private buyer service, dude. I will save you more than the cost of that private buyer service, and we'll be able to find you some deals and some good tubs in that area. Shannon, talking about Coast here, and she is asking, do they use Balboa? Yes, they do use Balboa heating and control systems, but you understand in the COVID world, I have seen some goofy stuff. I saw a container, I can't remember what brand it was, that all their tubs were using Balboa, and this one container had Gecko, and I think it was just because they couldn't get Balboa heating and control systems. So again, shortages in the industry are still, pretty heavy. So we're still seeing, cost increases. We're seeing shortages of product, and but for the most part, last I knew, they were using Balboa right across the board. They were gluing and clamping their plumbing. They were using a high-density shell, but they weren't encapsulating the plumbing connections, which is good. We don't have a lot bad to say about those guys. And by the way, I did mention some quality control issues, and we have had a few with Coast, but you know what? They've always been right there. So whenever that's happened, the customers have always reported back to us that they have replaced the tub for them. So, when a guy's willing to stand behind what he's doing, you can forgive him making a couple of mistakes, especially in this insane world right now where, production is really, really, really tough. I do not envy any production manager in a hot tub company. They must be losing their minds right now. That triple-pronged attack of shortage of parts, speeding up that production line, and massive volumes. It's just, it's been tricky, no doubt. Okay, so why is my pH so high after adding bromine and going back to normal? Okay, so generally bromine shouldn't affect your pH that much. High pH, here's what I usually find. Mostly your water, every week, you're going to find that your alkalinity gets lower, and your pH comes down a little bit. So when I hit my tub up, one of the big mistakes people do is they don't use alkalinity increaser. Alkalinity increaser is bicarbonate soda, baking soda. Arm & Hammer, buy it for the grocery store. Now, by the way, don't, because you'll pay 4 times more at the grocery store than you will at a hot tub company, because it's food grade and it's not food grade in the hot tub store. And also don't use hot tub chemicals to eat. So do alkalinity first. Always do alkalinity first. Always hammer the alkalinity up to the higher end of okay on the chart. I think it's somewhere around 150, but I can't remember for sure. Then adjust your pH down if you require it. Something driving your pH, if your pH is getting driven high, something's getting into your water. Okay, these things can't, hot tubs don't manufacture things that can make your pH go high. So start looking at what's going on there. It could be lotions, it could be sunscreens, it could be something that somebody's used in a perfume or something like that. Start eliminating things out and see if you can get that to settle down a little bit, and that would help you. The other thing is take us a sample into your local store and get them to do a water evaluation on it. It's really tricky to do water chemistry over the, just conversing here. All right, wood deck, sturdily built. Okay, as a base for a hot tub, sure. Yeah, why not? But when I say sturdily built, get an engineer or over-engineer it. Make sure you're going way over the top. There's a lot of weight on there, and that's going to transfer a lot of weight onto the sill of your house if it's not done properly. So typically you're going to need posts coming down under that deck. You're going to need to double up your joists that are under that deck. You're going to need to cross brace those joists with a couple of 2x10s, usually 2 or 3 of them, and then you're going to carry those down on 6-inch posts. Now, by the way, don't go build a deck based on the specs I just gave you and say, Chris, I'd do this. No, get an engineer, man, because it's really worth your time to do it right. Downsides to a hot tub on a deck, a lot of them. 1, deck's expensive. You spend a lot of hands. Put it on the ground if you can. Off the side of the deck is awesome. Or even build a little crib beside your deck. Why waste all that bloody deck space you spend a lot of money on to put your hot tub on? Efficiency. Hot tubs are not as efficient on a deck as they are on a flat surface. And the reason is you've got a little bit of wood under the tub. There's not a lot of insulation under the tub. You've got air going under there. So you've got one more surface that you can lose heat from. I have seen a lot of guys that when they put them under a deck will put Cellophort, like that 2-inch thick hard insulation in between the joists, and they'll fit it all up underneath the tub, and that can help as well. Noisy. Hot tubs and decks are noisier than hot tubs on the ground. Simple as that. And sometimes it can be really bad, and it's not the hot tub's fault. If the hot tub motor, when it's ticking over, will have a resonant frequency that it will go. You'll hear it, a little hum. Well, guess what? If you're unlucky and the resonant frequency of the deck picks that up and amplifies it, I think they call it a sympathetic harmonic vibration, something like that. Anyway, what it means is your deck can transfer and amplify that noise. So your hot tub will sound like it's crazy noisy, and it's not. It's your deck strumming. And I've actually seen it where the deck's bolted to the house, and man, you'll be way over in the far corner of the house, and you sit in the bathroom or something, and you can hear this, and it's the hot tub. But then as you get closer to the hot tub, it disappears again. So there's a lot of tricky stuff with a hot tub on a deck. It is absolutely not the ideal, but yeah, it can be done. Just be aware of the problems. In fact, it's one of the only times I really say that circulator pumps, those silent flow little baby pumps, are sometimes not, I don't really like them. I think they're a waste of money, and they're not that efficient, and they break all the time. But on a deck, they're really quiet, so you can sometimes sort out that vibration issue. G Techno 13. My water has a lot of calcium. Will that be a problem when I get my tub? Is it worth getting a water softener? No. Do not put water through a water softener and then fill your tub with it. That's way worse than the hard water. So hard water will calcify. It will cause calcium buildup on some of the stuff, the heater in particular. It can get into the seals of the pump. Again, it can reduce life and cause a bit of trouble. But water through a water softener, especially a salt, where they get the salt in the thing and it softens the water, do not use that water. It will be a nightmare. And soft water is actually worse because soft water is highly aggressive. What it wants to do is it wants to get up to a neutral level, so it steals calcium from everything. And one of the reasons plastics can get brittle over time is that, a low calcium environment. So use something, either if you're using a crappy old regular chlorine system or something like that, just get a stain and scale inhibitor. You can add that in, and that will prevent the calcium from calcifying onto the surfaces. But honestly, get Spa Marble. Man, it's an enzyme system that is going to reduce your chemicals, keep your water balanced. We sell it on the site. Go to hottubuniversity.com, Spa Marble. Buy it. It's insane. It's the best tech in the world for hot tub water care. I don't care what anybody says. I've tried like hundreds of them, and this shit is amazing and cheap. It's like $59 every 3 months. You dump this enzyme in. You don't have to worry about calcium buildup, and there's a million other benefits, not the least of which is it breaks down your oil. So, the guy over there that was talking about the high pH, get on Spa Marble and buy it from my site. It helps with my children through university. Please, I beg of you, buy it from my no, buy it anywhere. But if you get it from my site, I'll give you your money back if you don't like it. Okay, look into the private service. Awesome stuff. Thanks for the great info and honesty. No worries, Chris. I started this site, and it's funny because I hated the hot tub industry. I've been in it for 30 years, and I just found that it's just one of these scuzzy industries where people just say anything, and they take pseudoscience and spin it into, just drove me nuts. all my site was about was yelling at the world. So, because I get so tired of being on the discussion forums, because you go on a discussion forum, which by the way is a complete waste of time. Totally, it is an advertising venue now for the big companies. You'd go on there and you'd start to put out some real information, and you just get buried because all of the guys from certain companies that were, really concentrating on controlling those discussion forums, which they still do, it would just flood you, and you'd end up just going, "Ah." So yeah, it was all about that, and I've always tried to keep it real, man. Private buyer service, by the way, don't take money for referrals. I don't take money from retailers. It's bizarre because I'll call retailers up and I'll go, "Look, man, we got this program, and I need to, I got a client. I want that tub. You give me a good price." He's going, "Well, what do you want?" Nothing, man. I want you to take care of the client. The client's already paid me. I work for him. Just get us a good tub. And they're always like, "Okay, but what's your end?" We don't take an end. So private buyers is all about this. When you walk into a hot tub store, you've got a sales guy there. The sales guy is going to take 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% of your money. He works for the company. He is going to have to convince you that what he's got available to sell is for you, and he's going to squish that together and make it work, and he's going to close that deal, and he's going to take his commission. We are salespeople that did this for years and know how this game works, and what we do is we work for you. So we don't go to, we don't care if this company doesn't have what you want. We're going to go to whatever brand, whatever thing fits what you're looking for. And then we're just going to simply cut out the bullshit, because we're going to save you having to make stupid decisions and buy upgrades that aren't worth your time. We're going to make sure the price you're buying it is right. And then down the road, if you ever have trouble, you can always come back to us and you go, "Chris, man, this dealer's screwing me." And if I think you're right, I'm going to say, "Oh, no problem. Dealer, he's a private buyer. Can you please sort this guy out?" And they usually will, because I get a million views and people don't want to see their name on my site unless it's good things about it. But the truth is, most of these guys are pretty good that we deal with anyway. So yeah, private buyers is a great program. And again, it's all funded by you. It's all funded by you. That's the only place we make money on private buyers. So we don't have an agenda. We don't give a shit what you buy at the end of the day. You already paid us. Other than, we like to get you a good product to make sure you're happy. Anyway, so there you go. Terry, anyway, supplement insulation for winter use. Are so in touch with Northeast Ohio. Yeah, for sure. Look, I'm going to buy 3,000 tubs in the U.S. market for clients this year. Private buyers has gone through the roof. And by the way, it seems that this is not just us. Cars, the auto industry is undergoing the same kind of thing, where guys that really know what they're doing in that industry are now being hired by people to buy them used cars. And it's a very similar program. So yeah, we absolutely can find you stuff in that marketplace. In 95, over 95, I say 95 because the real number is like 99 point something. And it always sounds like you're scamming people if you say 99 point something, but in over 95% of private buyer cases, we save you more than the cost of the purchase, right off the purchase price, more than the cost of our service, right off the purchase price. Now, that's even taken into account the work we're going to do for you, the legwork, calling people, finding tubs, blah, 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 making sure you don't get burned, and the money we save you by helping you avoid buying, useless upgrades. Because, man, trust me, 85, 90% of people that buy a hot tub get talked into useless upgrades, and it costs you a shitload of money for nothing, because a lot of upgrades really just aren't worth looking at. So, yes, Southeast Ohio, we can definitely get in touch. And, yes, you can supplement the insulation system on a hot tub. There's a number of ways to do it. You can't do it efficiently with high density foam or low density foam. The cost of the packs is too much for you unless you're doing it on a commercial level where you get the big, volume 2-part containers you're buying. It's too expensive. So what I usually recommend is anything like Blue Max or Rockwall insulation or fiberglass pink, and some hefty garbage bags, and just take the battens out, let them puff up, don't compress them because they get their R value from that loft. Keep them fluffy. Make little Christmas presents out of them. Take tuck tape and big hefty garbage bags, and then just tuck them gently in around the shell of the tub. Remember, your motors need to breathe. Motors on tubs that are perimeter insulation require, count on that heat in that cavity to keep them cool. And it's a bad tech, by the way. It's really bad tech because that air, when the motor gets cooking, especially in the summertime, it's not cool in there, so it doesn't cool your motor effectively. It's one of the big drawbacks of these cheap insulation systems. So make sure you leave enough area in the front where your motors are that the motors can breathe. And in the summertime, I'd even recommend putting vents, little vent at the top, little vent in the bottom. Easy to do. You take a little hole saw, find a little cap with the little holes in it that'll, and then drill the hole for the size and go click, 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 click. In the wintertime, pull them out. put a plug of high density foam in the back of them and stick them back into place. But yeah, you can certainly do it. A lot of time, a lot of money, which is why I usually recommend people spend the $500 up front when they're buying a hot tub and buy a good full foam hot tub. But yeah, you can fix them. Okay, Johnny. Phosphates out of tap water, 4,000 off the chart. We have well water. Yeah, so you got to fill from another source. Simple as that. Look, well water can be okay, but it can be a nightmare. Phosphates, mineral contents, and it shifts. So, you can test the well one year and test it the next year, and you get totally different readings because we're relying on groundwater. And as the groundwater travels through the aquifers and through the different strata layers in the ground, it may all of a sudden hit a little patch of a certain kind of mineral or a metal, and man, all of a sudden now you got iron in your water until that iron pocket dissipates and gets all chewed up. So yeah, when you're getting to the point where you're filling your hot tub with your well and you can't stabilize your water and your readings are off the chart, buy in water. Usually you can get a water truck in for $150. And again, go to a product like Spa Marble, and that'll extend your water out to almost a year. We get lots of customers that go over a year on Spa Marble or Aquafinesse or Mineralux. So spending the $50 on Spa Marble every 3 months, and again, you can get that on my site. That typically, instead of changing your water every 3 to 4 months, you can go 9 months to a year between water changes. So that really offsets the cost of bringing in that truck of water because you don't have to reheat a batch of water for 3 different times. Trust me, it's actually not far off the same price. So yeah, get water in. Stop fighting a battle that you can't win. And yeah, you bought Spa Marble, but Spa Marble is not going to help you with that problem. You need a decent batch of water to start, or you're screwed. So unfortunately, Johnny, I really would recommend trying to find a local guy that's using a good municipal pre-treated water that's stabilized, balanced, that doesn't have those crazy TDS levels or those crazy phosphate levels. Joseph, what are your thoughts on Sundance? Hamilton, yeah, Sundance is a good tub. So Sundance is owned by Apollo Management. Apollo Management is an equity investment company that owns Jacuzzi and Hydropool and Sundance and a pile of other tubs. Sundance isn't quite up as high as I think Jacuzzi is probably the best one that they're building. Certainly not a nightmare tub. The proprietary jet system on both the Jacuzzi and the Sundance are probably not as good as the new compression fit stuff. But other than that, they're building good tubs, and Sundance is definitely up in our top 10 tubs. I would say you can buy that tub with reasonable amount of confidence that you're going to have a good unit. Certainly not in the Nightmare brand. Sam's Club, send us a third Strong spa. Yeah, exactly. And here's what we're talking about with the Strong. So Strong, we did that video. It was called Evolution, Costco Evolution Hot Tub. And I did that quite a while ago. It's not changed, by the way. I saw them in Vegas a year and a half ago before the lockdown, or 2 years, whatever the hell that was. I've been in lockdown so long, I don't even remember my name. Anyway, yeah, so Strong, we rate that tub. And I recently rated the new one that Costco's doing. And some of their stuff, like their plumbing, came in at almost zero on our calculator, because there's no clamps, and it's cheap, so you can use vinyl tubing, which isn't, the expensive tubing, because the actual tubing's never rupture. But if you're doing that, you need to glue and clamp. If you're not going to clamp, at least go to a Sure Grip or some torsion hose. Guys that are building tubs like this, that tub is just, the shell is thin and inexpensive, and it's not durable, and the plumbing system is not great, and just so many problems with that tub. It's what it is, man. And sorry about that, but good thing about Costco or Sam's Club is the refund policy. And yeah, if you don't mind going through this, your tub's always breaking and you're always waiting for service, and then having it hauled out and put back in. Anyway, sounds like a nightmare to me, but unfortunate. Terry, if you don't need therapeutic power, can you save money? Absolutely. Listen, here's one of the biggest things that's going to increase the cost of your hot tub: the jet package. Okay, the gimmick in the hot tub world, and where you get any cheap tubs. Again, talking about mass merchant hot tubs, you look at those tubs, and they're all those cheap little $10 jets, and they're little low flow jets, hardly any volume of water out of them at all. Yeah, they're not expensive. The jets that are expensive are the high flow therapy massage jets. And trust me, man, if you sit in a tub for a month that's got a really good jetting package in it, you're going to notice a real difference in muscle tension. If you sit in a tub with those little bullet jets in, those little tiny shitty jets, they ain't going to do nothing. So you're not going to notice. They feel good when you're in front of them. They don't feel good. They dig in too much, but they feel like they're doing something at least. But the truth is, there's not flowing enough water to move the whole muscle mass, so you don't really get any long-term reduction in tension in the muscles. So yeah, if you don't want a crazy, you want to soak in the hot water. And by the way, Hydrotherapy is hot water. It ain't about the jets. The jets is massage therapy. So a lot of people don't really care about the jetting that much. A little bit of jets, yay, but the hot water, man. Do you know how much therapeutic benefits in the medical community are documented about hot water therapy? Just soaking in a hot tub? Absolutely. Get yourself a single pump 20 jet hot tub. Get yourself the Beachcomber one at Costco. It's a little too expensive at Costco, but you can get it through Beachcomber dealers at a better price. Get something simple. Get a Bar Harbor SE from Master. It's a great big massive super durable well-built tub with very low jets, 17 jets in a single pump, and you can save thousands of dollars. In fact, most of the difference between something that's selling say in that $13,000 mark and something that's selling in that $8,000-9,000 mark is the jet package. And by the way, it's not just that the jets are expensive. So the big jets are 5 to 10 times more than the little jets each. But man, it's the plumbing system, it's the power of the pumps, it's the diverters and the flow control, the cumulative effect of putting together a tub that's going to flow enough water to the main capsule share to give you a really good, therapy quality massage. Cost you a lot of money out of the gate, so for sure. And again, jump on my private buyer service. We'll find you a tub, man, and we'll definitely save you some money. And we're getting to the end here, folks, in around 40 minutes. And that's pretty much what I got here. So we got Natasha coming in, insulated concrete spa pad or not worth the time, meaning before pouring, drop some rigid insulation. So I've seen people for a while. Mylar, when it first came out, was sold as a foundation thing. You put the tinfoil on the foundation, but then all the government said you can't say that. That's bullshit. They basically said that about Mylar insulation for most insulation applications. That's why you can't use it in your house anymore. But anyways, I've seen people use high density foam under a pad and on a pad, and for sure under a pad. I've always kind of wondered to myself, all that concrete in between, I'm not sure how effective that is, but I've seen people put like 2 inches of insulation and then put the tub right on top of that. And again, a lot of this depends on the tub. If it's a really well insulated tub already, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But if we're talking about a tub that's, got very poor insulation, then that could probably be worth your while. So yes, definitely worthwhile. And I don't know why I looked at my text message in the middle of a live feed. Go figure. Sorry about that. Anyway, okay, so that's about it. Want to ditch the same spot club? Bullfrog, 2 years out. Bullfrog is 2 years out for production. And most everybody's a year to a year and a half out. The good news is if we monitor the Google search terms, and we notice that we're seeing a fair drop in the Google search terms for the industry wide. So I think we're going to see a little cooling of the market here. I think as people are getting out of their houses, or they're keen to get out of their houses, so the market's probably going to get a little easier here. Bullfrog, by the way, all in all, not a bad tub. It's an ABS plastic shell, so the shell's the weak spot on that tub. Is definitely not as strong as you're going to get on a good fiberglass acrylic tub, but they do a pretty good job at pedal still supporting it. There's Gecko electronics, which again, it's okay, but man, I've never had great luck with Gecko. We tested it when I was the director at Canadian Spa Company, which supplies mass merchants, by the way, which is one of the reasons I have so much insight into the mass merchant world. Is I supplied a lot of the big mass merchants, Costco, B&Q, which is Kingfisher, which is like the Home Depots of Europe, I don't know where I was going with that. I kind of lost my thread. Sorry about that. So anyways, Bullfrog, private buyer service, 2 years out. For the Bullfrog. So the Bullfrog's good. They use a Gecko electronic control system. Again, so that's where I was going. We actually trialed Gecko a couple times, and there's a couple things I don't like. The heaters on Balboas, you can pop the core out. It voids your warranty, but once your warranty's over, who cares? And you can put a new core in. The core lasts every bit as long as the original heater if it's done correctly. And they're like $70. And man, on a lot of the Gecko systems, you can't take the core apart. In fact, you have to replace the entire current collector and all the bits, and it's like $400 Canadian or something last time I looked at it. So a bit of a scam there. What they do is they've taken away your right to repair, which is illegal now in Europe, or going to be very shortly, and the US and Canada should follow suit, because this idea of planned obsolescence, building stuff designed to fail, and then taking your right to repair something that you own away, it's a scam, man. I just put a Raymarine bloody navigation system on my sailboat. Scumbags. Proprietary cables. There's a standard that everyone uses, NEMA and MEA, and these guys build a proprietary cable that doesn't fit the other cables, so they can sell you these $70 cables that are, $8. And it's just ridiculous. I hate proprietary parts. Don't get me started. Anyways, Thoughts on Artesian Island versus Bullfrog? Artesian doesn't clamp the plumbing anymore, so that's knocked them down probably on par with Bullfrog, because Artesian has a better shell. They don't clamp the plumbing. Artesian has Balboa. Bullfrog has Gecko, so I think the Artesian wins on that. But Bullfrog clamps the plumbing, and that definitely is a better system than not clamping the plumbing, even if you're using the torsion hose. So I would say they're comparable. As far as the tubs themselves, like performance-wise, it's almost impossible to say that with the Bullfrog pods and with the options and Artesians. It would depend on what package. But again, post up a more detailed thing on our Hot Tub University, and we can take a look at that for you, or get on Private Buyers and we will do full evaluations. By the way, Private Buyers now, we do you a 2-page sheet on your last 2 or 3 tubs when we get down to the short strokes, and they're pretty detailed. They talk about everything with those tubs and why they're different and what makes them better and what doesn't, and they address everything from component quality to how the components attach to the tubs to how the shells are built to everything. We were even getting into now evaluating plumbing systems for turbulence in the lines, because we know that turbulence in the lines can not only affect your pressure but can really damage your motors over long term. So as we keep modifying this tub evaluator, we've got a really powerful tool here that's going to strip away a lot of this nonsense in the industry, and that's now available to Private Buyers. So if you get on that service, we can do these reports on the tubs you're looking at. Coast swim spa, yes or no? Sure. Yeah, again, they're not a bad swim spa. Performance wise, I don't think that they're doing anything in the super high end. So depending on your level of swim, if you're looking for a tub that's, you're regular, you're 40, 50-year-old guy, you want to keep in shape, drink an extra beer every once in a while, not stack on too many pounds, or, you just want to just generally keep in shape. I think they're fine. I think they're a good swim spa. If you're, a triathlon man and you want to, really train, I would say no. I'd say probably you got to go into something like a True Swim, or you've got to go into a Phelps or a Challenger, or something that's going to flow a little bit more water. I'm not nuts on the layouts of the Coast swim spas. I find there's a lot of wasted space. Like, they have those dumb seats down the bottom, and if you look at the actual swim area in those swimmers, it can be fairly restrictive. I think they're fairly well designed. Really, on a swim spa, man, I am all about space. Look at the open space in the actual swim area, and depth. I don't know what the depth on the Coast. Sorry, I haven't looked in the last little while, but the deeper you can get, the better. If you can get a 60-inch deep depth, it's a massive difference over a 54. And I know that sounds crazy. It's not that many, it's not even that much water. But man, I had a 54-inch swim spot for a long time. And you're always just below your nipples in water, above your belly in water. And in the winter, it's always like, hey, you're crushing down to try and stay in the water, and it's not nearly as comfortable as it should be. So depth is key on a swim spa, in my opinion. And again, the flow rate, depending on what you want. Also, one of the things I find in swim spas sometimes is goofy, and it always blows my mind. You'll have these really good high flow therapy massage jets with loads of the big jets, and those tubs will sell for big money. But when we get into swim spas, it's hard to find seating in the swim spas that have good jetting. I don't know why, but for some reason in the swim spa industry, it's like they make the swim spa and they go, throw a couple jets in. And lots of times all you're getting is those dinky little jets, and the performance for the massage value is not great on them. But man, I love swimmers. I got to say, I've had one for I don't even know how long, 20 years probably. And I love them, man. I use mine. I'm in Canada. I'm in that damn thing all the time, or I was anyway. Not so much anymore because I live on a boat now. Whoa. Anyway, so another story. We'll get into it one day. So is there any we can buy that's available for purchase? Yeah, there are spas out there, Johnny. We can find spas fast. Expect to pay a premium. And when I say a premium, that can range from $500 to $3,000, $4,000 for an in-stock unit. So, we do get clients that come to us and they go, hey, Chris, I don't give a shit about the money, man. You get me a damn hot tub and get me a damn hot tub now. We can always find you a hot tub. There's always options out there. It's getting trickier and trickier, and it's getting more and more expensive. But if you want to throw money at the problem, we can certainly make it go away for you. Simply Swim. So yeah, for Simply Swim, look, there's nothing wrong with the Coast spas. Dude, Ken, on hot tubs by Private Buyer service, 95% of the time saves you the cost of the service. On swim spas, I would say it's 100%. There's never a time on a swim spa Private Buyer that I haven't saved the client at least the cost of my service. When you get on a Private Buyer service, you're going to have a team of 4 people that are going to deal with you, and they are going to shop your market. They're going to find tubs. They're going to look at who's around you. They're going to look at their levels of support and backup and service. They're going to give you full evaluations on all your final couple models that you're looking at. That will give you detailed detailed stuff on how they're built and why one's a little bit better than the other. Man, I don't mean to be funny. If you're buying a swimmer, I don't care where you are in North America, get on my private buyer service. It's $250 US. On swimmers, I have saved customers $3,000-$4,000. I always save them, you know, 500 or 1,000, and I've never not saved them at least the 250. So if you haven't gone too far down the road, and the reason I say that, part of the way we save money on private buyers, we don't bust dealers' balls to, you know, put them out of business. We need them there to service you down the road. We need these guys, these dealers need to make a reasonable profit. They need to be a viable business. The worst scenario would be for me to beat the hell out of dealers and put them out of business, and now you got a hot tub with no dealer. What we do is we go to the owners of those companies, we bypass the sales floor. So what I mean by not going down too far down the road, if you're already in negotiations and you're down to your final strokes, pay the $100 consult. We'll talk pricing with you. But if you're still just in the shopping phase, man, get on our private buyer service. We'll definitely make it worth your while. Joseph, live in Hawaii. Lucky bugger. I'm going to sail there soon. I'm starting a trek where I'm sailing around the world. That's in theory. So far, I've sailed about 50 miles, but we'll see how that works out. And I might be starting a little YouTube page if you feel like following a meathead as he tries to sail around the world. It might be fun. So I'm going to hit Hawaii one day, Joseph. I'm going to come see you. I'm going to make you buy me a beer for this question. All right. Really don't have any choices because there are only 2 dealers. Costco and Sam's and Home Depot, but most of them will not ship here. Yeah, it's tricky, man. So I don't know about that. I've never bought a tub for a guy in Hawaii. I've bought tubs for people in Spain and the UK and Portugal and all over the place. It's again, I don't know. But you know what you should do to start? Go to Hot Tub University and just post a comment. Hey, I'm in Hawaii. Take a look around me, see if there's anything worth damn, and see what you can do for me. And we'll tell you right there. If we can't help you, we're going to tell you not to bother buying the service. So we'll have a look. Ken, swim spa, soak for Las Vegas. So Artesian Spas is manufactured in Las Vegas. So sometimes that's not a bad option. If you go right to the factory, they may in normal times sell blemished units, but probably now they probably don't because they're so busy. I've got some dealers down there. I've dealt with quite a few. I got a guy in Henderson I use a lot. I buy a couple hundred tubs a year in Vegas for clients, again, through the private buyer service. I got a wholesaler I use there for master. I got a wholesaler I use there for geez, I'm trying to think what else I got out there. Jacuzzi, I got a guy. So yeah, we definitely got stuff in that market for you, and yeah, we can certainly help you and save you some money. There's an A7 bullfrog in Daytona, Florida for $17,900. My God, that is insane. If that was Canadian dollars, it would be overpriced. In American dollars, that's nuts. The top bullfrog spa is worth 12 grand all day long. You know, and this, the truth of it is, guys, this is not a rocket science industry. Nobody builds a tub that's worth $17,000. I shouldn't say nobody. I'm sure there's some crazy ass shit out there, but for the most part, that is a massive price for that tub. But again, if it's in stock, ready to go, you're paying your $4 grand or $5 grand premium, and that's what it is. Karen, hot tub liquidators, 14-foot coast on hold for me, man. You are in. And grab that, man. If it's an in-stock unit and you're ready to go and it's through a liquidator and they've got it in stock, yeah, grab it. I'm not going to be able to help you anyway. So that's about it, folks. We hit my 51 minutes and 59 seconds, and I'm running out of things to say, and I've ran out of questions. So thanks a lot for tuning in. It's been a great day. And right now, man, it is so warm outside. We've got, we're in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, and it is 75, 80, 85. I don't know, so warm that when I walk outside, I go, oh. So I'm going to go grab a cold beer from that fridge. I'm going to walk outside, and we will see you in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't know. Look at my site. It tells you when we do the next one. So happy hot tubbing. Don't buy hot tubs from mass merchants. Buy my private buyer service. Get Spa Marvel. You got any questions? Hit me up, man. Have a great day, folks. Happy hot tubbing.